Good evening, I'm Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again. We've got a special show tonight, special live show. It's a preview of the game this week, of course, big London derby at the Emirates. Arsenal are playing West Ham. We've got a special guest joining us, West Ham fan. It's going to be a good show coming up the other side of this. So, good evening and welcome to Over and Over and Over Again. Our special guest tonight is Andy from West Ham Reunited. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I'm not going to lie. We was just talking in the green room. I'm feeling a bit tired, as you said. An away game on the Sunday is a bit of a killer. So I'm feeling it, and then obviously preparing up for the Christmas period. So it's not going to get any better.
No, it's one game after another at the minute, but I suppose it's not quite so bad when you're doing quite well. I suppose it's a bit easier to deal with, and it's when you're losing games it's probably a little bit more difficult. But we've both had a little bit of both, I suppose, this season, which we will come on to. Before we sort of start, probably really want to give you the opportunity to talk about your channel. I kind of found you guys by accident a couple of weeks ago. Just came up on my YouTube feed. You was doing a live show, and I felt that it was your channel kind of had a similar vibe to what I'm trying to do on my channel, and I just felt that it was a great opportunity for us to maybe get together and do some stuff. I mean, how long you've been doing the channel for?
We started the first week of September. So our main objective really was to talk about the history. So like we've got a series now called like the Reunited Fives. Is where you have to pick your 5 favourite kits. So you have to be in a live to pick us play. It's sort of like a 5 like rhythm. So then we do like five favourite games and stuff like that. And the main one is the history. Obviously, it's the same for you guys. Obviously, moving away from Highbury. Obviously, us is moving away from Upton Park. So over the next few months, we've got a couple of videos what we're editing. We went back to see what it was like, where we used to drink, where we used to eat, and yeah, just doing interviews and. Just putting a bit of spice to it. Me and Jazz appeared on a few other channels, but we were doing all the wouldn't say the hard work, but appearing on other people's channels and not getting the benefit. So that was the main reason why we've done it, and we've got a bit of youth where we have different people on every shows, and we've been very lucky so far. We've interviewed like Chris Akabusi, who's obviously a mad West Ham fan, and we've got a few more lined up. Hopefully, because of COVID, we're trying to do a more face to face. So yeah, no, it's going really well, and obviously we don't need to tell everyone else. You didn't realise once you take it on is how much hard work it actually is to, especially when you're playing 3 games a week. That's minimum 6 shows, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It is a lot of work, but I like the fact that you're very interested in the history of the club, because we do that on this channel quite a lot as well. I think it's important to know where you've come from to appreciate where you are, I suppose, as well. And we focus on a lot of history as well and stuff like that. And it's good that there's other channels out there focused on that. There's too many now that maybe just focus on the here and now only and just do the current games, the current team, which is fine. We do that as well. But it's nice to look back as well, isn't it? I mean, I like that kits idea, and I've got an old Arsenal kit on tonight from 1982. So I do like a good old kit as well. So maybe that's a good idea to do. Maybe we try something like that, because we've had some strange and wonderful kits over the years as well.
Yeah. Because you'll be surprised, like literally, like I've got someone, Mike, who's a really good friend of the channel, and like his kits go back to 1970. So you can imagine how many kits have been since then. And he said it was in out. And when you speak to people, but like I've got to admit, and they said it like, why have you picked this kit? But it means to them it was like their first kit, what their dad bought them and stuff like that. So it might not be the obvious. So yeah, no, it's definitely a good idea.
No, it is, yeah. I mean, I like the sound of that. I say I've been watching quite a bit of your channel in the last couple of weeks since I found it, and it's great stuff. It's really enjoyable. So, I know it's West Ham content, but, it's all football stuff, and I'm interested in all of that. So if anyone watching wants to check them out, it's West Ham Reunited, and it's definitely worth a watch. Rajendra's in the chat. He says, how you doing, Rajendra? Thanks for tuning in, mate, again. Good to see you. I suppose then what I wanted to really start was perhaps looking at how both teams have maybe been doing at the moment. That was a wrong graphic, actually. That's for the recent meetings. We might as well start with that. It says I'll put that on there now. Obviously, Arsenal have got a decent record at home to West Ham, certainly in recent years. But having said that, you were the first team ever, the visiting team to win at the Emirates back in 2006. So,
and the last team to beat you at Highbury.
You was indeed, yeah. 2 seasons in a row you won. So you've had a bit of a decent. In fact, there was one time I remember in the 90s you won about 3 seasons in a row at Highbury. So you didn't have a bad record at one time. It's just obviously recent years. You did beat us on the first day of the season, didn't you? 2015. I think we had a 0-0 draw a few years before that, but we tend to win generally this fixture. But obviously the last season's game, I thought you were unlucky to lose that. Actually, we scraped a 2-1, didn't we? A late goal. You played well that day.
Yeah, no, he's not everyone's favourite player. It was Andrei Yarmolenko for us who switched off to allow you through. But like you said, we was doing in the car talking back on the way home. We were sort of talking about this game and previous meet. To be honest, in the last 3 meetings at the Emirates, we should have at least got something out of the game, and we've come away with nothing. And then we're sort of thinking, do we not play well on Wednesday and maybe get a result? Maybe it needs to swing the other way. But no, going to the Emirates, obviously, it's an amazing stadium to go and visit. Like when you see all these modern new stadiums, but I wasn't fortunate enough to go to Highbury, but. The one thing you will say is it may be a little bit different. Obviously, close to Christmas. We don't normally. May get proved wrong. We normally play not this time of year, so it may be a little bit different where the games are coming thick and fast. And I know you had a great result on Saturday, but it's obviously Arteta's mind's probably thinking maybe long term as well. So, but with regards to the previous meetings, obviously we were. The game at the London Stadium last year, obviously 3-0 up and ruining it. In my opinion, I think that's what cost us Champions League football in the end. But no, Arsenal are a great team to watch, and we say it. And obviously, you didn't get off to the best of starts, but you're slowly picking up form.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're getting. I think we've got results against the teams I would expected us to get results against generally, and when we've come up against the sort of better end of the league, we haven't done too well. So obviously, playing you guys on Wednesday, you're above us in the league. You're in the top 4. This has been the sort of games this season that we haven't done particularly well in. But historically, as I've said, I think we've won the last 5 or 6 at the Emirates against you in all competitions. So we do have a good record, but I know records are there to be broken and stuff like that. So we don't really sort of pay too much attention to that. It's more really to do with, I think, as you pointed out just then, the fact that the game's coming at a busy time of the season. You've had Europa League last week. There's been, there was 2 Premier League games the week before. There's 2 Premier League games this week. It's a lot of football, and then obviously into Christmas where there's a lot of games as well. And I think both of us, at this moment in time, are maybe struggling for quality in depth. I mean, I know you've got maybe a smaller squad than we have anyway, and I know you've got 1 or 2 injuries. I mean, how's that sort of playing out? Because you're still getting pretty decent results, aren't you? You're still doing really well in the league. So is the squad starting to be stretched a little bit with the number of games that you have?
Yeah, if you compare to the game, probably with what we had when we beat, I can't remember who we beat now, or the Brighton game. Obviously, we've lost Angelo at Bonner and Kurt Zouma, who have been absolutely outstanding. And in Man City as well, we also lost Aaron Creswell and Ben Johnson. So yesterday was our first, was a whole new back 4 than what we used to. So when you look at it like that, injuries are playing its part. To be honest, the thing we're creating chances, but we're just not finishing them. And you do get punished. Like we nearly got punished yesterday. We nearly lost. Mikel Antonio looks a bit lost. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, he's not even a natural striker. He is underperforming, and I really did slag him off yesterday because when you're the only striker at the club, you expect at least a 7 out of 10, in my opinion. But with regards to, obviously, in my opinion, I'm not just having my West Ham hat on. Even you're starting to see other people. Declan Rice is outstanding, and I think in my opinion, it will be the battle in the midfield again. We did win it yesterday. I know it's only Burnley, but we did win it. So I think it's the battle for the midfield on Wednesday. Is if we win that, we may have a chance. But I've got to say it out now. When you signed Aaron Ramsdale, I was laughing. I'm not gonna lie. I think a lot of Arsenal fans were, and I think the way he's playing at the minute, it will take some effort to beat him.
No, he's proved to be a great sign. I mean, I think, even Arsenal fans were a little bit surprised maybe that it was him that we went for and got. I mean, you mentioned Declan Rice there. I mean, I thought last night against Burnley, he was fantastic, wasn't he? I mean, he was everywhere on that. He covered every blade of grass. And he was absolutely brilliant. And every time I see West Ham play, and even England as well, he is a standout player, isn't he? And he's really come on, hasn't he, the last sort of year or so. He's really improved, isn't he? His all-round game now is he's got everything. Maybe he doesn't score enough goals, perhaps. That's the only thing maybe against him, perhaps.
Yeah, no, he's a great player, and I don't say I'm not going to say here and go, he's proven everyone wrong, because a few people have said it, even Roy Keane, Gary Neville, saying he's a natural centre back, and the fact that I think that sort of bursted him on in my opinion. Yeah, he's just an all round player. He's energy, box to box, and I know he was obviously in the Chelsea academy. All of his family's Chelsea. I've met his brother, I've met his dad, I've spoken to him as well, and they can't speak highly of the club, and you can tell. Like, I know I've got him in the background there on a picture. You can probably tell it as well. A player who may have not come through your youth team, but English, understands the way the club's run, and he gives 110% every week, and I absolutely love him.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been playing fantastically well, and obviously he's going to be a big player for England at the World Cup, isn't he, next year? So, looking forward to seeing how that goes as well. But yeah, I mean, he's been great, and he's a sort of player actually that Arsenal could maybe do with in our midfield. We're lacking that sort of player actually, and I think he would be a great signing for Arsenal. Not that we'll ever be able to sign him, but he would be the sort of player. He would transform our midfield if we had him, and I'm sure we would be a lot higher, well, a bit higher up the league now if we had a player like Declan Rice in our midfield. Thomas Partey has been a bit underperforming, and Rice is going to show. And I agree. I think on Wednesday that's going to be a key battle, maybe Thomas Partey and Declan Rice, who gets a grip of that midfield. And you'd have to say on current form, Declan Rice will be favourite to win that battle, I would say.
Yeah, no, the difference is with Declan is you might not look it. I know he's a big lad, but he's actually strong as well. And you sort of mentioned you watch it at the game, the way he can just glide past people and shrug them off, and his ball control, and he can also pass the ball as well. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a West Ham. Gareth Southgate got that wrong in that final. I think if Declan Rice stayed on, I think we would have may have had a better chance to win the Euros. But obviously that might be a bit with my West Ham hat on. But I think the battle as well will also be down your left hand side if Kieran Tierney plays. I think that him versus Soufal. I know they had a couple of battles last year, but I'm just looking. I really am excited for the game. The fact that it's going to be on the telly as well. I know, obviously, we're not. I know you can watch it any other way, but the fact that it's on BT, a lot of people will be watching, and hopefully, it's a good match.
Yeah, no, I mean, it should be. I mean, it's an important game in terms of league position as well, because if we do win, we'll go above you into the top four. And if you win, then it obviously increases your lead away from us and you're going to pull away. So I think it is a big game for both clubs in that sense. And Rajandra in the chat there says, just to let you know, when I was a young boy in the late 60s, I lived in Forest Gate, not far from Upton Park. Yeah, I know the area pretty well. Used to hear about Martin Peters, Bobby Moore and Jeff Hurst. Of course, yeah, West Ham won the World Cup, didn't they? It's going to be Arsenal winning the World Cup next year, of course, with Smith Rowe and Saka and Ramsdale. So
no. Yeah, Smith Rowe, I'm a huge fan of his, and I'm glad he got his England call up. He's a great talent, and like you said, Saka is as well. And it's nice to see these young players, and you just need to get that balance right with experience and that. And I just hope. My honest opinion, talking about England, I don't think Gareth Southgate's the right person to take England forward. I think he gets the wrong selection and picks some of the top three. I'll say the top three sides now. A lot of players get picked because they play for them, and you should just let the young players go out and express themselves.
No, I agree. I mean, I think Gareth Southgate's a bit too negative, actually, in his tactics. And he was in the final of the Euros. You mentioned it before. When we went 1-0 up early on, he didn't try and kill the game off. He sat back. And in the end, we got maybe what was coming when they equalised. And yeah, I think maybe with a manager with maybe a more attacking approach, we may well have won that tournament. And maybe it might hold us back in the World Cup. We'll see. I mean, we've got good results the last two tournaments, so we can't really grumble. But I agree. I don't think he's the right man. I think we've got some exceptional talent at the moment, and he's not maybe utilising them in the best way. But, we'll see what happens. He's got a year to sort it out, hasn't he, before the World Cup? And a few more young players coming through that might make an impression in the squad maybe. But we'll see. I mean, that's maybe a different subject for a different time, perhaps. We seem to have one of your friends in the chat there. He says, yes, Andy.
Yeah, that's James as well. He's a regular on our channel. You probably recognise him. He's a great lad, and he shows the passion of a proper West Ham fan as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I grew up in Elm Park, and everyone I used to go to school with was West Ham fans. So West Ham have always been a club that's been quite close to me. My sister supported West Ham as well. So it's always been, Arsenal and West Ham have been the two big clubs in my life, really. So it's always a big game for me. I always enjoy playing West Ham. Obviously, I don't like losing to them very much because I get quite a lot of stick. But luckily, in recent years, we haven't.
The thing is, as well, is like you said, you was talking about previous meetings there. I think Upton Park was the one. I remember Wenger and Pardew arguing on the pitch. Obviously, going back even further, like 98, 99, when you knocked us out the FA Cup and the League Cup. We have got some, but we've had some good players from you. Obviously, we signed Ian Wright for one season, John Hartson. So it is. It's not as big. Obviously, I know Tottenham's yours, but you don't really see it as like an old school. Right, it's a London derby, but it's not the typical London derby, if you know what I mean. It's like a good game, but once you get on the pitch, it does get a bit fiery sometimes.
Yeah, no, it can. I mean, I can remember going up some park in the 80s and stuff. It was a bit of a one of the dodgy games to go to sometimes. But that was the 80s everywhere, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, it was always a local trip for me, so I used to quite enjoy it. Shane's in the chat there. He says, Andy, how long more can you hold on to Rice? That's fair enough question, I suppose. Don't for a minute he's loyal to West Ham. He turned his back on his country island called Shane's from Ireland, so he's maybe got a bit of a vested interest there. But yeah, I mean, I suppose the big boys, if you like, are going to come calling, aren't they, for Declan Rice very soon?
It really does depend, and I said this at the start of the season. I don't know what it is, but I've got a feeling we're going to win a trophy. I don't know what one it is, but I've just got this funny feeling we are. And I know it's 1980, obviously playing Arsenal, the last time we actually won a trophy. And in my opinion, if we win a trophy or get to a final, and obviously with the new takeover, we've got that new investment. He's not fully took over yet, but it's to do with the rent and the things on the stadium. So it'll be 2023 when he fully takes over. Obviously, being a billionaire, he shows ambition, and I think he sees that. And I'm not just saying that a player won't leave. I think he'll get offered a new deal in the next couple of months. Obviously, that will probably have a release clause in it. In my opinion, it will be probably 120 million plus. Probably would be the release clause, in my opinion. But I can't see him going for at least a couple of years. Me personally. I'm not just saying that with a West Ham hat on. I think it's an exciting project, and we'll probably get onto the managers shortly. I didn't want David Moyes to go in the first place, and I think he's the main reason why he's here still.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose from a West Ham perspective, if you can afford to keep Declan Rice, then I'm sure he'd want to stay. And if you've got the ambition on the pitch as well, that's what it's about, isn't it? Young players want to be playing for successful teams, don't they? Good young players. And, like you said, if you do win a trophy this year or if you're challenging, and so far this season, you've definitely been challenging, haven't you? You're in the top four, you're still in the Carabao Cup, you've got through the Europa League group. It's been a good season. I mean, I want to kind of come onto the season so far, really. I mean, what have you made of West Ham? Like, you mentioned David Moyes. He actually took over, I think, a week after Arteta took over. The second time he came back and took over the week after Arteta arrived at Arsenal. And you have to say, spending a lot less money, he's got better results in that same period. And, West Ham have progressed, whereas I don't feel that Arsenal have from the same point. So what have you made of, obviously, this season so far? What was your expectations at the start? Because obviously you did well last season. You qualified for Europe. What was you expecting this season?
I was expecting us, after the Europa League draw happened, I was expecting us to definitely advance from the group. And I think it's just a matter of progression. Like a top half finish would be, like, I'm being honest, I said probably top half and a decent progression in a cup run. Like, we might not win it, but as the season's gone on, obviously we had the great start, the two great wins at Newcastle and Leicester. Obviously beating Man United and Man City in the Carabao Cup, that's not easy. And Moyes has got, it's not just Moyes, it's his backroom staff. We've got ex-managers and coaches on England. Obviously, Stuart Pearce, Paul Nevin. We had Alan Irvine there last year, but now we've got Billy McKinley, Kevin Nolan, who's obviously the ex-captain, and that's just that nice mixture. And it's not just David Moyes, and obviously the fact that we've got that Rob Newman now, the ex-head of recruitment now from Man City, which was a great great addition as well. And Moyes, apart from, since every signing he's bought has been a success, Ben Rama, it's slowly progressed. Jared Bowen from the Championship, Thomas Soucek, Soufal. It's these players. They're coming in and hitting the ground running. I know you get that odd one which doesn't work out, but at the moment it isn't. And we literally are just probably 3 or 4 players away from the perfect squad. In my there's rumours, obviously Jesse Lingard was outstanding for us last year. Obviously he ripped you apart, didn't he, for certain periods at the London Stadium. We're linked with Nathan Ake from Man City. And the reason why I reckon that's going to happen is Man City knows, obviously, our record against, obviously, beating Chelsea, beating them. We can make a difference from them winning stuff as well. Obviously, we're picking results against other people. We can see that. And he's obviously not getting his game time. And I think a striker, if we can get that striker, an actual goal scorer, for me, you might not fit, but I think Anthony Martial's the answer for us. He's not playing at Man United. He wants to leave. Play him in that out-and-out position, and if he can get that service, which I know he's a natural finisher, I think we could be the complete article if we get someone like him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're far off. I mean, yeah, I think your squad is a little bit weak in depth, isn't it? Like you said, you've got a few injuries now. If you get 1 or 2 more in the next couple of games, then you're going to be in a difficult position, aren't you? Certainly in certain positions. Like you said, you know, Antonio's the only striker you've got, and he's not really a natural striker, is he? He's played in all different positions. He's a great player. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you're far off either, actually. You know, looking at the way that you play. I mean, I like the way... I mean, I know David Moyes has took a lot of stick in his career, hasn't he? You know, he's spelled at Man United and elsewhere, and it's not quite what happened for him since Everton, but now he seems to have found somewhere that he fits in. And I like the style of football that West Ham play, actually. You know, you can beat the big teams, as you've shown. You beat Liverpool, you beat Chelsea, you've knocked the 2 Manchester clubs out of the cup, as you said. So, you know, when you play the big team, you're not frightened. Arsenal tend to play scared against the bigger teams, and that's why we struggle. Whereas you go for it and you're beating them.
Yes, it's the complete opposite to last year, because the thing what cost us getting Champions League last year was not beating the teams in the top 6 or especially the top 4. But now it seems to have, the last few games, we're beating the teams above us and losing or not picking up points. Like Brighton, for example, you wouldn't believe it. You probably might not know. We've never beat up Brighton in the Premier League since they've been in there. We've never beaten them.
Really?
We've drawn 5 and lost 3 to Brighton. So, like, as you can imagine, we've got Brighton on the last game of the season as well. So away. So you know what's probably coming there. But no, David Moyes is a great manager, and he's always had that. I didn't want him to leave when he was first at the club. I really did like what he was doing, the players he brought in, even then. But we actually are playing a great football. Like yesterday, we had 36 touches in the opposition box. We just couldn't score. 14 corners. And I think that will be the key. Obviously, the battle in the midfield and the set pieces. I think we are normally lethal. Obviously, with the most last year. I think we went 4 or 5 games not scoring from a set piece. And now we're going in like, obviously, that's what undone Liverpool and stuff like that. So I think that might be key as well on Wednesdays, is how you defend from our set pieces as well.
That is, I mean, interesting that you said that. Those stats there, obviously, your game against Burnley last night. I mean, we went up to Burnley and we beat them 1-0 earlier in the season, and we didn't have nowhere near that many touches in the opposition box, nowhere near that many corners, and we came out winning the game somehow. And you've only got a 0-0 draw. It just goes to show how sometimes statistics in football don't always tell the story, do they? It's putting the ball in the net, I guess, that counts. But I mean, I watched that game last night, and I thought you played really well, actually. You should have won that game by 2 or 3 goals, if we're honest. You know, the chances that you had. I mean,
Nick Pope's an outstanding goalkeeper, and we've sort of talked about it off air. It'd be nice to know your opinion. Do you think it was a penalty, considering the penalties what were given over the weekend?
I mean, this weekend, you'd say it was definitely a penalty. Look, as you said, looking at some of the ones that were given. I mean, I suppose if it got given in your favour, you'd say, yeah, it should be a penalty. And if it was given against you, you'd think, well, it's a little bit soft, perhaps. But as you said, the ones that were given this week, that was almost one of the more nailed on ones, wasn't it? When you look at some of them. So yeah, maybe that was why though. Sometimes playing one of the late games, all the other decisions have gone before. The referees have seen that and they've maybe thought, oh, you know what, maybe there's been too many soft penalties this weekend. So that might have gone against you. Maybe if the game had been played on Saturday with the same incident, you may well have got the penalty.
Yeah, I'm not just saying it. In my opinion, I think a few people said it in the car. I think if that was Man City or Liverpool, I think that's a nailed on penalty. But because it's West Ham, I don't know what it is with these referees. Obviously, the standard of the refereeing is going downhill, and they said VAR is coming in to help us, and in my opinion, it's not. It's just making the top three side, well, top four, including our best friends Tottenham, life's a lot easier.
I mean, it does seem to be. I mean, I know this weekend in particular, all the top three won with very, very controversial penalties, shall we say. All of them got, and Man United as well, got a win with a penalty that was maybe slightly more obvious decision, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, VAR is a big topic on its own. It has been since it came in, and I think the offside seemed to be slightly better with it this season than last year when they were doing lines all the time, and that's slightly better. So there's been a little bit of an improvement there, but it hasn't improved the standard of refereeing like it was maybe supposed, or the standard of the decisions that are being made. I mean, the referees on the pitch, they've got help now. They shouldn't be getting things wrong as much as they are, because if they get them wrong, they should be overturned. That's what VAR is for, and it's not really doing that, is it? So it's something that needs to be looked at. And
we had that at Brighton. Obviously, we're 1-0 up, and obviously, like you said, considering our record, I don't know if you saw that they gave it eventually offside, even though it took a double deflection off a Brighton player, and everyone was baffled to why that was done. And then I don't like listening to it, but I looked at that ref watch today, and Dermot Gallagher was like, "It's the intent or the conduct, or I can't remember what word he was giving out, why it wasn't given." And it's like, well, get ex-players on the panel. In my opinion, I don't think it should be referees. You should have an ex-player on the VAR. Like you said, we'll rabbit on about VAR for hours, but it's just instead of the system VAR, it should be an ex-player to try and understand it, because normally, no disrespect, referees are normally referees because they're not good at football. That's why they wanted to do it.
No, exactly. And you're right. And I think players will understand the context of the game, don't they? They understand what's happened, and they can maybe see it more from, was that challenge an intentional challenge to win the ball? Was it not? And they can maybe look at it from a slightly different perspective, and that would probably help to get a fairer decision. But again, ex-players, they've got vested interest in certain clubs as well, and I don't know, that will be called into question. I would have thought, imagine if Jamie Carragher gave a penalty to Liverpool. You know what I mean? There'd be a bit of controversy about that, I guess. But
to be honest, you've not really, even though you're a part of the what was it called now, Super Six or Elite or the big, but decisions don't really go your way that much. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know you were part of the Big Six who were wanting to go away to the Super League, but when I remember decisions, it's like, Arsenal were lucky there. I don't know what, I don't know, Chris Kavanagh was doing. Like, you're not really a part of that. It is bloody Tottenham, isn't it? They seem to get everything.
No, they do. I mean, obviously, Man United always have, Liverpool always have, and obviously in recent years, Man City and Chelsea. So, yeah, Arsenal haven't benefited from referees, particularly over the years. And we've always felt as Arsenal fans that, there's an agenda against Arsenal when it comes to decisions like that. Last year, we had several that were terrible against us. And this year, we haven't really had any massive ones in our favour generally. We have had one or two that, we've maybe been a little bit fortunate for, a couple of penalties that we got earlier in the season. But, yeah, I don't know what it is. The big clubs tend to be favoured more. They seem to be, or the clubs at the top of the league rather than the big clubs, shall we say. The clubs at the top of the league tend to get the decision. It's always been the case. I mean, I remember back in the 80s and in the 90s when, Man United used to get all the decisions. Before that, Liverpool used to get all the decisions when they were top of the league. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe referees are influenced by the teams that are winning games. I don't know, but we certainly don't benefit from it. We never even benefited from it much when we were top of the league, so maybe that's not the reason.
I think what it is as well, I think, I can't remember, I think West Ham Fan TV is obviously the biggest West Ham channel, and I'm very good friends with him, and he was sort of saying that yesterday. It was like when the last year at Upton Park, and obviously last year, and when Leicester got in the Champions League and obviously won it as well, they don't want us because the risk of losing a Champions League place, because they're not. And I think it is that on that agenda. It's like we can't have a West Ham or a Leicester continuously fighting for them competitions. We need the big sides in the top four, and I honestly think that's the case.
Well, I mean, if that's the reason, then hopefully, then as this season plays out, if obviously if we're chasing you for that fourth spot, maybe referees will give us more decisions over West Ham so that we can overtake you and get fourth place, mate. If that's what they want, Arsenal being the top four over West Ham, and I can live with that if that's the case. I mean, that would be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, no, like I said, it's going to be tough now because obviously you don't know how this is going to plan out with the pandemic. Obviously, Tottenham having a rest, and obviously we'll be playing next week. It wouldn't really bother me that much if Arsenal finish above us. If we finish above Tottenham, that's all I care about.
We all want to finish above Tottenham. That's the whole point of the season, isn't it?
I know it's your big rivals, but it's just there. Obviously, we could go on all day talking about Tottenham as well, Jamie O'Hara's and people like that of this world, and I think that just inspires me even more.
No, exactly. I mean, obviously the media love Tottenham; they always have done, and they never get any criticism when things are going badly. There's always excuses that the media make for Tottenham, and everybody else, it's get sort of torn into by the media. So yeah, that's always been the case. But
it's the same with the Carabao Cup. Obviously, we play them next week, and they're on about moving it, but they got a bye last year, and bear in mind they got to the final. They didn't. They got a bye because Leyton Orient couldn't fill it. I don't want to win. If we did win the Carabao Cup and we got a bye because they couldn't fill it, it wouldn't feel right. But you've got to take it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to take it. But in my opinion, I would refuse. Like we shouldn't move that game next week. If they've got, that's just the way I feel about it.
No, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, every Premier League club's got at least a 25-man squad, and you as long as they've got 14, 15 players fit enough to play in the squad, they should play the game. They've got some substitutes, they've got 11 players, and if it means they might lose the game because they've got young players having to come in the team or players that don't play, and that's just tough luck. You could have 10 injuries. What are you going to do? Cancel a game because you've got 10 injuries? You're not allowed to do that. Yeah, and it should be the same, shouldn't it? I understand this is slightly different, but even so, they've got enough players to play the games. Tottenham, they shouldn't have had their game called off this weekend, really, because they've got a squad who could have played against Brighton, and they've got a squad who can play in all the other games, And Ryan in the chat there from Mr. Arsenal podcast says Man United have asked their match to be postponed tomorrow. They've had a few COVID cases apparently as well, haven't they? So after the Norwich game, but they've got a big squad. Just play the players that you've got available. That's what you do. That's what you've got to do.
I really don't understand it. Like this pandemic is. I think Fulham had a game called off last year from the top of my head, but it's like, but you can't just keep making, like you said, they've got a big enough squad. I think, like don't get me wrong, I would be fuming. Say, for example, if West Ham had 6 cases, but if it was the other way round, I'd want the game to go ahead, so it's fair as fair.
I mean, we had our first game of the season against Brentford away. We had a few players out with COVID. We had a few other issues. We asked the game to be moved, but they said no. We played it. We lost. Whether that was would it have made any difference if we played it later on, I don't know. But ultimately, we played the game. We had to play the game. We did. 1 or 2 other players had to come in and play. Balogun had to play up front because we had no strikers. A young lad who's not played much in the Premier League. Yeah. And we got on with it and we lost, and that was it. You have to take it, don't you, and move on. And Rajendra says there about Aston Villa was required to do that. I know there was a game, wasn't there? Liverpool playing, was it last season? They had to play games on consecutive days, and they wanted to cancel one, and they ended up playing a load of kids. Or was it Villa that played the kids? I can't remember something.
Yeah. No, that was it. That was the FA Cup. So Villa had a load of cases, and they made them play.
And they played
Liverpool. They played all their kids as well. But obviously, it's to do with the Club World Cup, isn't it? So Chelsea will be doing the same thing, and the Premier League said they're not moving it, so they've got to play the kids in either the Club World Cup or the Premier League. But it's not our fault.
No, exactly, it isn't, and I don't see why other teams should be punished for the fact that one team's got a few problems. Well, you've got a big squad, you've got young players, you've got an academy. Yeah. You can play all your academy players. They're registered to play in the Premier League. You don't need to re-register them. Like as Videnda says, Aston Villa had to play their second team. Yeah, they did. Yeah. So why are games getting postponed? They don't need to be, do they? You can understand it in certain circumstances, but not when it's not been the same for everyone. We had to play our game earlier in the season. And I don't know. And as Ryan says there, want everyone to be treated the same. Yeah, exactly. We had to play. Everyone should have to play, I suppose. And one says how amazing how Spurs got this special treatment, yet we were forced to play against Brentford. Yeah, exactly. But I guess that was in the summer, maybe when perhaps things didn't seem as serious. I don't know if that was a reason, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, like you said, we've gone on. It's good to talk, but like you said, we just go on. You could talk about VAR, COVID, Tottenham. I think we could do an whole episode on Tottenham as well.
No, we probably do a 4-hour show on Tottenham. We don't really want to give them any more time than they deserve.
No, exactly.
I mean, I did want to kind of touch on obviously the two managers. We did sort of mention it before, obviously, because they both came into the job at roughly the same time. It's been I've been kind of following it quite closely, really. The difference in the football that West Ham play. I just feel as though with the money that you spent in comparison to what we've spent, you've got much better value for money, and it's brought better results. You're in Europe this season. We're not. You're in the top 4 at the moment. We're not, although we could be on Wednesday after the game. So, I mean, what have you made of Arteta at Arsenal since he's been there?
I think he's obviously at the start of the season as well. A lot of your fan base wanted him out. I think it's a slow project. It is a rebuild job. If you think of what Man United's gone through, really, they've gone through 2 or 3 world-class managers and they couldn't achieve it. Obviously, he knows that he's an ex-player, so he knows the style of the club. I'm just trying to get his record up now as we're speaking, but no, he's a great manager. He is a great manager, and have you still got a couple of ex-players? Have you on your coaching staff? Have you? I think, haven't you?
In the academy, Per Mertesacker, the under-23 manager, and there are ex-players involved behind the scenes. Maybe not the ex-players that.
Oh, it's Edu, isn't it? He's director,
he's director of football. Yeah.
So I've just had a look. So in all competitions, like you said, 105 matches, 158, drawn 18 and lost. So when you think of it like that, that's a decent record. Do you know what I mean? It is a decent record. And do you think he's been put? Obviously, I know you've asked me the question. Do you reckon a lot of them players are the players what he wanted, personally?
I think the players that we've signed this summer were a lot of the players that he wanted. I think maybe some of the previous signings before, I'm not sure if they always were at the beginning. We seem to have gone through quite a lot of players in that 2 years since he's been at the club. He's got rid of a few players that wasn't right for him. He didn't want them, did he? Mesut Ozil, for example, a few others he kind of binned off. And the squad has been changed almost all the way through. There's not many players that still play regularly now that were playing regularly 2 years ago. And one of them, the captain, has now been banished out of the squad again for disciplinary reasons, which is something that needs to be sorted out. So there seems to be, I think there's some issues going on behind the scenes at Arsenal, actually. And I don't feel as though all the players are totally buying into what Arteta's trying to do, and you can see by the inconsistency of the performances. We've got a lot of young players, and I think the young players probably do buy into Arteta because he's put a lot of trust in them. Some of the younger ones that's come through our academy, the Smith Rose, etc. But even some of the young players that he's got. I mean, a player like Tomiyasu, has been plucked out of obscurity, really, in Italy, coming to the Arsenal team. He must be delighted to be given this opportunity, and he's grabbing it with both hands. Ramsdale's another one. We mentioned him before. What a great goalkeeper he's proving to be. A great signing. And because these players have come into a club like Arsenal from maybe lesser clubs, they've just grabbed the opportunity, where some of the other players, the more experienced ones who have maybe played at a top level, they've played Champions League football, maybe they're not buying into Arteta enough. And I think that's why he's going for the youth, the young players, maybe, because they'll listen to him more, perhaps. I think he had the same at Man City. I think he got a lot out of the younger players, Arteta's coaching, whereas some of the older players maybe are not buying into it. And I think we've got that problem, perhaps, overall, and that might explain why our results are so inconsistent. But I'd like to see a few more experienced players in there to help the young players along. And I think West Ham, you seem to have got that balance. You've got some good young players, but you've also got some experienced players as well. So you've got that balance, haven't you? I think more so than what we have at the moment. But maybe, your group of players have been together a bit longer, even though the managers have been at the same kind of time, perhaps.
Yeah, so I've just had a look at David Moyes' record, including obviously some of them. He lost a lot, obviously, when he first took over. So he's had 119 games in charge of West Ham, 151, drawn 28, and lost 40. But a lot of them losses were when he first took over, when he was slowly rebuilding. So I think his record over the past 2 years, I think we have hardly lost. We've drawn a lot. And like you said, the style of the footballs are very similar. They are very similar, but I think the difference is we can mix it up if we need to.
Yeah,
Like you said, the goals from set pieces, which are crucial. But like you said, the battle of the midfield. But like you said, you've got Odegaard especially. He's a gem, and I think he's just slowly adjusting. And I think he's the same as a Ben Rama and a Fornals for us, really. I think he's bulked up a bit.
yeah.
He's realised how physical the Premier League is, and once you get it, but you've got Ben White. Actually, that's a good question. What have you made of him? Obviously, he had a bit of a shaky start. Do you reckon he's got the typical English bracket? Why is a bit more pressure on him, or do you reckon he actually is good as what he is?
I mean, from what I've seen so far, he's played, 15, 16 games, whatever it is, for us. I think that we paid too much money for him, if I'm honest, bearing in mind what his performances have been like. I think he's a good player, and he's a ball-playing central defender, which I think Arteta wanted. He wanted a player like that, whereas I would prefer a defender who can defend first and foremost, and if they can kick the ball as well and pass it as well, that's a bonus. You want a defender who can defend. We've got one in Gabriel. He's not great on the ball necessarily, Gabriel, but he's a proper defender. And that's kind of, you want defenders like that. In West Ham, you've got a few of them, haven't you? I know some of them are injured at the minute, but you've got defenders who are defenders first and foremost, aren't they? And that's what Ben White isn't necessarily a defender as such. He's a footballer, and he'd probably be a good midfield player if he played in midfield because he's comfortable on the ball. You see him dribble out of defence a few times, go past 3 or 4 players, and he can pick a pass, and you think, he's a good footballer. But is that really what you need in the Premier League as your central defender? I'm not sure. I don't know. But so far, he's been a bit hit and miss. He's had a few decent games. He's struggled in a few games against some better strikers. And it'd
be interesting for both White and, like I said, I know I've been slating him, but Mikel Antonio, he just sometimes, obviously, Liverpool, he ripped Van Dijk apart. Especially, so that I think that's the battle as well, isn't it? The centre halves, how they deal with physical. He's slowly. Mikel Antonio is slowly on the decline. Obviously, he's 31 years of age now, and they sort of say it, a striker has their 18-month peak. And I think Mikel Antonio is slowly coming down, but obviously he can still cause some damage.
No, he can. And I mean, Ben White isn't a physical defender as such, is he? And I think that obviously Gabriel is probably going to be given the job of marking Antonio, I would say. He's probably more able to cope with the physical aspect of Antonio's play. But I mean, Antonio's pacing behind is going to be a problem as well. I mean, he scored in this fixture last season, didn't he, for West Ham? He's a great player, I think. So he's going to be the danger man. But I think maybe Gabriel's going to more take him on as opposed to, I think Ben White maybe will tidy up. And, you only generally play one up front, don't you, usually? So I think Gabriel will take care of him, and maybe White will have a little bit more freedom to sweep up behind him.
I don't know. I've just got this funny feeling. Like I said, Creswell's been out injured. But Masuaku, obviously got the cross goal last week against Chelsea, but he's very good going forward. And last season, we did play the full-back position where we played three at the back. Creswell with that left centre-back, had the wing-backs with Fredericks, who's unfortunately out injured as well. So if we can get that right, we might see Antonio and Bowen up there together and we pack out the midfield. And I think that'll be if we go to a back three, I think the game will be more exciting because you'll see Bowen and Antonio together, and I think that's where it may catch you out.
See, and that just goes to show, doesn't it, how Moyes can adapt the formation and the system to the game. Arteta sticks with the same system rigidly, whoever we're playing against, and in some games you have to be able to adapt. And if West Ham do that on Wednesday and they change formation to suit the game, then to me, that's, whether or not you win the game or not is a different issue. But the fact that David Moyes has thought about it and prepared for this one game and set the team up for the opposition, to me, that's a sign of a good manager, because that's what a manager is supposed to do. It's not very well just saying, well, look, we play the same system every week. I mean, Arsene Wenger used to do it. And when it worked, we used to rip teams to pieces and win the league and go unbeaten. And when it didn't work, then, there was no plan B as such. And I think after the same way, I do feel with West Ham that you do have a plan B, because you've got a manager who can adapt even in game. He can change things in game. He done that.
He done that against Chelsea. The last 15 minutes, he put Declan Rice as centre back, and we managed to get the win and obviously get the defend well. But no, I really am excited for this game, because for the neutrals, it's going to be end to end. And like you said, we've not had our. I know we've got 3 at Chelsea, but we've not really had our shooting boots on. I think it will just be the matter of who scores more. I think both teams are going to score. My honest gut, I'm probably maybe spoiling it for. I think it's going to be 3-2 either way.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that would be certainly a good game to watch, I suppose. But I don't know. I mean, we're struggling. I know we did score 3 goals on Saturday against Southampton, but we've generally been struggling to score enough goals actually this season. Yeah. We've still got a minus goal difference, and that's been our big issue. And even when we've played well in games, we haven't been able to kill teams off. We did manage to against Southampton, but that's quite rare this season, really. So I look at West Ham, and I don't see us scoring a lot of goals against you guys. I just think that you are pretty solid defensively. You don't concede a lot of goals. Not many teams can score 3 against you, do they? I don't think anybody has this season, have they?
The maximum we've let in a game is 2, and our worst defeat is a 2-1 loss.
Yeah,
and that was to Brentford and Man United. That's our worst defeat.
Yeah, so you've been pretty solid defensively, and we're not creating enough opportunities. So I don't think it's as much as I'd like it to be a 3-2. I don't know if it's going to be that sort of a game. We're not conceding.
Do you think? I know because you're at home. Is it a little bit? Do you reckon it'll be the fullbacks? Do you reckon we may hit you on the counter then, especially with Tierney bombing down that left side, and obviously we've got Jared Bowen who's been pretty clinical. Do you reckon it? Because that's the way we play. We are a counter-attacking side, and we are well. And obviously, Arsenal, if you sort of play a little bit negative and fullbacks not bombing on us forward, the crowd may start getting on, and that could play into our hands.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, we don't take too many risks. Arteta doesn't like taking too many. He won't throw loads of bodies forward, even if we're losing a game. He doesn't. He wants to keep a very structured team, which is frustrating sometimes because you're not going to achieve as much as you can if you're too negative. You've got to sometimes go for it, and you've got to risk conceding a goal sometimes to be able to score goals, and that's just the way football is, isn't it? And he won't want to risk being caught on a counter attack. He'll know what West Ham's threat is. You have got pace in behind if Antonio gets going, and he won't want to leave us open to that. So I don't think he'll take too much. Yeah, I mean, when we're at home, the fullbacks do push on. And they do try to get balls into the box, but we don't overload the penalty area. I mean, you were saying obviously Burnley, you had 35 touches in the penalty. We probably haven't had 35 touches in the opponent's box in our last 10 games put together because that's not how we play. So I may be over exaggerating slightly, but we don't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Even on Saturday, we scored 3 against Southampton. It wasn't like we overran them. We got the goals at good times actually, which worked out well for us. But we're not bombarding teams. We haven't done it under Arteta since he's been there, and we're not going to do it. We're certainly not going to do it on Wednesday. So are you going to have the opportunities to really counter attack us? It's almost like Arteta's too scared to be countered on, so he won't overcommit. People don't get in the box. We don't have 4, 5, 6 players running into the box very often. And our midfield players have been recently, they've been the ones scoring the goals. But over the last 2 years, we haven't scored enough goals from midfield, really. And it's been a problem.
Yeah, I think the difference is with us, like you said, Mikel Antonio was our top goal scorer with 11, but we scored a load of goals, and I think like Souček got 10. Yeah. Ben Rama only got a couple, but Bowen especially, and our defenders like Dawson especially, Bonner. So it'll be interesting. So defending, obviously, you have a better understanding. Defending set pieces. I know you were a bit critical, especially last season, but this season, are you a bit better defending set pieces, or not really?
Probably statistically, if you look at the number of goals we've conceded from set pieces, you'd have to say we probably are better. But a lot of that's down to our goalkeeper. In fact, all our defensive statistics this season have improved, mainly down to one man, and that is Aaron Ramsdale, because he's just been outstanding. He's a commanding presence in the box, so he'll come and try and get corners. He'll try and pluck them out of the air. He's a big, strong lad, so that's helped us. I wouldn't necessarily say we're better at defending them. We've just got a better goalkeeper at defending them, maybe, and I think that's what's helped us. But we know obviously West Ham have got a big threat from set piece. I mean, we've actually scored a few from set pieces ourselves actually this season, a few more than normal. We have got a new set piece coach who's come in. I think he was at Man City actually as well. So. And maybe we have slightly improved at both ends of the pitch from set pieces. Perhaps we scored two from set pieces at the weekend. So we are scoring a few more now, and defending them. I don't know. I kind of think that could be where the game could be decided. Actually, your strength at set pieces and maybe we'll see exactly how good we are at defending them, maybe against a team that
they literally are. Obviously, you saw it against Liverpool. They literally are on the money. Literally, that at one point, I can't remember what pundit it was. It wasn't even a West Ham. He said that like penalties at one point, set pieces. It's like more chance of scoring. The fact that we've got the one what we scored at Brighton. If Souček don't even get a touch, I think it was directly going in as well. Like the pace what we can get on the ball, it's even the best defenders will struggle to defend against it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think it's going to be a good test actually for us to see if we have really improved. I say statistically we have. I'm not quite sure when I watch it as though we have particularly, but I say we have got the informed goalkeeper in the league, so that's always a bonus, isn't it? When you're vulnerable at the back, your goalkeeper comes to your rescue. Shane in the chat there says, Andy, what would you consider a successful season for the Hammers? Cup run, make top 6? Is maybe on the cut. I mean, top 4. Surely you've got to be. You've got to. I personally feel this season the top 3 are the top 3, and that's it. But there's an opportunity for somebody to come forth. Man United have had a mixed season. Tottenham are having a mixed season. They've both got new managers in. We're having a mixed season. You know, I think there's an opportunity. Leicester have been all over the place. There's an opportunity for someone to get in 4th place. You know, whether it's you guys, whether it's us. You know, whether it is Man United.
So if I had to pick, I think Leicester. They're just. I think when Brendan Rodgers started getting linked with the Man United job, I think that sort of unsettled the whole squad personally, and they've had a few injuries. But if I had to pick, obviously my heart's obviously saying West Ham. I would like Arsenal to break it. I want that top 4 broken, and they certainly wouldn't like it. And I think, but if you bit my hand off, I'd rather a trophy. I'd rather a trophy than top 4. Me personally, what about you? If you had to pick, would you? I know the FA Cup's probably you sort of win, so it's probably a bit different for you. Like you said, it's been 40. It'll be 42 years since the last time we won a trophy, so it may be a bit different. I would even take an FA Cup than top 4.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think as a fan, you want to see your team win trophies, don't you? Because that's what it's all about. You know, that day, you know, when you know, whether it's a cup final or whatever it is, and that's special moments that you always remember. And you know, finishing in the top 4, getting in the Champions League is massively important for a club from a financial perspective, and for the players and everything else. But I think for fans would rather win a trophy, and that's always been the case. The top 4, we finished in the top 4 for 20 odd years in a row, right? And it was fine. It was not a problem. It was good to be in the Champions League every year. But there would have been several of those seasons where we came close. We was in cup finals and we lost and stuff like that. And I would rather have won those cup finals and finished 5th or 6th personally. But that's as a fan, because you want to experience those moments.
And I think that looks better, like you said, as a player as well on a CV. Oh yeah, I got in the top 4 twice, but I didn't win a trophy. Yeah, right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, if you had to pick, it's obviously winning. But I would love us to win. But like you said, you get the double. If you win Europa League, you get Champions League football anyway. And obviously, I know you've got. Obviously, the draw's been pretty kind. I think Napoli's got Barcelona. I think the draw got done today. So there's still some good sides in there. But I think we have got a chance in Europa League.
Yeah. Oh, we've actually had a doubt. I mean, you know, we've been in it a few years and we've done pretty well. Generally, got to a final, 2 semi-finals. So, you know, I think, you know, the Premier League clubs are generally the stronger teams in the Europa League, aren't they? When you get down to the latter stages, you know, you definitely, if you can get through the first couple of knockout games, I think you'll have a great chance. But you're still in the Carabao Cup. The FA Cup's not started yet, so you've got plenty of options still.
Are you supporting West Ham next? Are you supporting West Ham next Wednesday? If the game goes ahead.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'd rather West Ham go through than Tottenham. But you know, at the end of the day, ultimately, it's a trophy that we're not in Europe, and it's a trophy that we need to be trying to win. And whoever's in it, we need to try and get past them anyway.
Who have you got?
We've got Sunderland at home, so we've done quite well in the draw.
I think everyone wanted Sunderland, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely did. We got the draw we wanted. So, you know, hopefully.
Would he play a strong side? Do you reckon he'll play a strong side in that?
Well, I think he'll play a few players that maybe haven't been getting many Premier League minutes. Yeah. A lot of the players that's on the bench, you know, Nicolas Pepe probably might start the game and stuff like that.
See, he worries me. He really does worry me. Like playing against him, I don't know. He's just got that trickery, and I know he's got that worldie in him as well. So he worries me.
It's the unpredictability of him, I think.
Yeah.
You know, he's very inconsistent, But he has got the ability to do something special, and we've seen him do it plenty of times. But equally, he's also got the ability to just fall over the ball, trip over his own legs, and run down blind alleys as well. So it's kind of a mixture of him. You're never quite sure what you're going to get, and he's not really been playing much anyway lately. So I think if anything, he'll definitely play that Sunderland game. He did come on against Southampton for a little while. It's the first time he's come off the bench for a while, actually. So he probably could do with some minutes playing. But I think it'll be a mix and match team for Arsenal. Probably.
With regards to your to your captain, do you reckon he'll be in the squad Wednesday?
Well, a lot of that's going to depend on what's happened behind the scenes since the weekend, really. I mean, personally, for me, I would not play him again, and I would get rid of him in January. That's what I would do, because I think he's a bad influence on the dressing room. I think he's a bad influence in the team in general, and he's not producing on the pitch as well. So I think something's got going on behind the scenes with Aubameyang, and
because I don't know if you know, but the rumours circulating that he went, instead of being at training, he went to get a tattoo or something. I've heard.
Well, apparently he did, but that was apparently after he'd been sort of told to leave training. So it wasn't like he did that. He'd been told already to go home or whatever it was, and he went and did that. So it doesn't look great on social media when you're banned from training, you've been left out of the squad, and you're posting pictures on social media getting a tattoo, which seems like captain of Arsenal. You should keep a bit of a lower profile. Do
you reckon that's gone to his head? Because I think before he turned captain, he was outstanding. Do you reckon that's got a bit of played part to it, a bit of arrogance, or?
I don't know if it's the captaincy. I don't know if it's maybe the new contract he signed at the start of last season. Since then, his form's disappeared. I know last season he had a few issues. His mum's been ill and he had malaria and all kinds of other stuff. So I don't know if it's the captaincy so much. Something's clearly going on, because he's nowhere near the player he was when he first came to Arsenal. Scored all those goals. He got a golden boot. He was scoring goals every game, and he'd never gone more than 2 or 3 games without scoring. He's now gone about 6 or 7. So something's going on with him. Will he be in the squad on Wednesday? I don't know. If he's managed to sort things out with Arteta, he probably will. Whether he'll start the game, whether he should start the game, I'm not sure. I personally wouldn't. I would get rid of him. I'll try and get him out of the club as soon as possible, because I just don't think he's. I think he's causing more problems than he's solving at the minute anyway, the way he's playing. So just get rid of him, get a few quid for him, buy another striker in January, and move on. And hopefully we can push the club. I mean, he doesn't really fit in with Arteta's kind of plan of younger squad. He's in his 30s, him and Lacazette, and maybe it is time to perhaps move them on and get some younger players in, some better players, a bit more hungry perhaps.
I've got a nice stat for you. So exactly 50 games have been played in the Premier League head to head. Arsenal have won 32 of them, and West Ham have only won 8 in all, home and away.
Well, there you go. You see, I knew we had a good record against you guys, certainly in recent years. So, I mean, it is not that necessarily makes much difference, because each game's a different game.
I think it does. I really do think it does. I think on the players' minds it does. Like I said, I know we mentioned the 3 previous games. We should have got at least up, like at the Emirates. We should have got something, but I don't know. It's like a stadium. Do you know what I think it is? I think it does play its part, but like I said, I'm expecting a very open game, and like you said, I think it's just what goalkeeper's on form and what team's got their shooting boots on.
I mean, I think it is. And, we've got certain stadiums that we never do particularly well in. Man United's one, Liverpool's another one. I know they're a very good team, so maybe that's probably why as well. But, maybe it plays a little bit of a part. But, I mean, we said on our show last week, this was before we played Southampton, that it's probably one of the first times, I think, that West Ham will probably go into a game at the Emirates, maybe slight favourites, just because, you're higher up in the league than we are. You're playing pretty well. And I don't know, it's probably pretty even, to be fair. It's only 2 points different.
We're praising this to be a great game. You watch it be 0-0.
We've got a comment in chat there from Adako, who says that someone asked Kevin Campbell why West Ham are better than Arsenal in the last 2 years. Kevin said West Ham have more experienced players. Do you agree? Well, they have got more experienced players. We're a very young squad, and West Ham have got more experienced players. Whether that's the only reason, I personally think they've got a more experienced manager as well.
I think it is, though. I think it is the unity of the team. It is one big family. Like, you see it. Like I know it's if you win together, lose together. But like, even at the end of the game, like, everyone's like hugged. Like, it is, and like you said, the issue is what you've got. But there's no bad blood. If a player's not playing or on the bench, they know that when they come on, they'll give 110% because it's for the team. And like you said, you've got the issues with Aubameyang. It may be some other players, and when you've got that unsettling in the dressing room, it really can make a difference.
But again, see, that comes down to a little bit, doesn't it, of the manager. The manager creates that atmosphere in the dressing room, doesn't he, as well? And maybe Arteta hasn't been able to do that to the same degree.
Yeah, so last January, when we signed Thomas Souček when we stayed up, when we signed, it was January before, sorry. Thomas Souček, and first thing he done was come into training on his days off. Then other players, and now players are even coming in on their own backs, and that's what's doing as well. They go out, they do, like, they socialise. They go in, I think, like 1 day a week. They do something in particular. Obviously, if games are not permitted, and a lot of them, you sort of say you got that divide. Like the English players hang around together, but with West Ham, everyone's equal. You see them going out and doing stuff. It may be that as well. Like you said, it is that team spirit, and like you said, that does come down to the manager.
Yeah, no, I think it does a little bit, and I think, obviously David Moyes is a very, very experienced manager, isn't he? He's been a manager for many, many years. He's done well in the Premier League as well. So I think that's probably the biggest factor in the reason why West Ham have been doing better than Arsenal for the last 2 years. I think it's down to the manager's experience as well, and able to, like you said, to get the team together. And maybe Arteta hasn't quite managed to do that yet. Maybe in time he will. And
I think he just needs to be given. He definitely does need to be given time, and we found out that as well. A lot of people were calling for David Moyes to go at some point. Why are we hiring him back? Why are we doing? We went for the luxury manager in Pellegrini, and if anything, he put us on a decline. He's bought 4 players, put them on ridiculous wages, and that's the thing with Moyes. He's got rid of every single one of them. Haller, Felipe Anderson, Javier Hernandez, they've all gone, and I think that's what it is as well. No big egos.
Yeah, maybe it is, yeah. I mean, Adaka again in the chat says, in the last 2 years when Arteta took over, we used to have more experienced players too. What about that? No, we did. We had a much more experienced group of players when Arteta took over, and he's basically got rid of a lot of them and replaced them with all these youngsters. And that's obviously how he wanted to build the squad. And it is going to take time. And in the meantime, we may have to suffer these up and down performances and a few heavy defeats against.
But like you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like with us, obviously fighting relegation and the form what we've had, and this is what I love about proving people. Everyone said the only reason West Ham done well was because there was no fans there. We've come back this year and we've done it again. Do you know what I mean? Time will tell whether it will fatigue, but I just like the fact that we're starting to get noticed by other people now as well. Like a lot of the media is talking about us, and it's nice. It's nice to sort of think that it's not a fluke.
No, I mean, it clearly isn't a fluke, because you don't finish in the top 6 one season and in the top 4 this season as well. So, yeah, it's definitely not a fluke, is it? And, it's something to build on. I mean, what I did want to talk to you about, actually, because, you mentioned it briefly earlier, obviously moving stadium. Obviously, we did it a long time ago. You've done it in more recent years. I mean, Upton Park was a great old stadium, wasn't it? Yes, it wasn't maybe the best facilities and stuff like that, and it was a little bit old school, but I actually used to love it.
Yeah, it was a great stadium, and I was very emotional, especially obviously the last game at Man United, obviously beating them the way we did. To be honest, I totally understand what it done. When we first moved there, it was atrocious, like it was, but it's slowly going to become. But that's results. Like, we've made history in that stadium. Like, we've beat the likes of Liverpool. When you're not getting the results, it's not a nice place to go. And obviously, like you said, we were the first team to beat you at the end. Everything seemed rosy, didn't it, for you at first? You're like, oh look, we've got this fancy stadium. And West Ham has sort of done it the opposite way around. We've moved to this stadium for what? But now we're slowly rewarding for it. But no, have you been there? Have you been to London Stadium?
I haven't actually. No, in fact, there's only 2 grounds in the Premier League that I haven't been to. One's Brentford, and Brentford's new stadium, and West Ham. I've been to all the others. So yeah, it's definitely one I want to go to. Hopefully, this season could maybe be the time. I've not seen the game yet, so I don't know what it's like. It certainly seems a good atmosphere when I've seen the games on the telly. There, it seems to be a great atmosphere.
I'm 4 rows away from the away fans. I sit right next to the away fans. So, like you said, we've had some good results there, especially, like you said, beating Tottenham, like the other sides. And it's nice to cause the upset as well. But like, that place can rock. Even obviously last week beating Chelsea, you normally associate West Ham winning games under the floodlights. That's where that's where that's where it is. But the fact that we can make that atmosphere during the day as well is really good.
Yeah, I must admit, it does seem like a nice atmosphere there, and it is a ground I definitely want to get to at some stage, because it's one of the only grounds I've not been to in the Premier League, so I do want to do it. But yeah, I mean, I suppose, I still miss Highbury a lot, and I don't think football's been the same really for me since we moved, unfortunately, and I don't think it's been the same. The club's not really been the same either. So I sort of wonder what it's like for West Ham. Obviously, like you said, I suppose maybe in a way, we left Highbury and we were top. We'd been invincible. We got to the Champions League final. We were at the top of our game, and then we moved, and obviously we've gone downhill since. So maybe that's given us a more negative opinion of the new stadium. Whereas for you guys, as you said, since you've moved to the new stadium, certainly in recent years, the club are progressing. So maybe it's slightly different. But I mean, you must still miss Upton Park there, mustn't you?
Oh mate, I miss it. I miss it so much. Like the memories. Like you said, any ex-player you asked, what's one ground you don't like playing? It's Upton Park. Obviously, we developed one of the stands, obviously in the early 2000s. So some places were a little bit further away. But you can imagine, like 90s, 80s, when the chicken run, literally you couldn't even. As soon as you stepped on the pitch, you're in front of the fans, and it was intimidating. But it's great memories, but. It sounds like really hot, but you can sit, like you said, that's the reason why we're doing the history to talk about it. But we can't sit around and mope around it no more. And like you said, results on the pitch is what makes a stadium.
Yeah, no, it probably is. And I suppose, for us, all our big successes came at Highbury. And since we've moved, we've not managed to reach those heights. So maybe if we do eventually.
Is it the league? Is it the league what hurts the most? The fact that you've not really come close. Is it now?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, for me, when I was a kid growing up in the sort of 70s and 80s, Liverpool were winning the league every year, and I never ever thought I'd see Arsenal win the league. And then finally we did, and then we won it a couple more times. And then you kind of want that again, because it's a great feeling to know you won. To me, that's the ultimate trophy, because it's over 38 games. You're the best team over the full season, and that's the best trophy to win. The others are nice, but winning the league, you're the best team, and it's the one to win, isn't it? And having experienced it a few times, I mean, 5 times we've won the league that I've seen. So it is something that hurts a lot when we're not getting anywhere near doing it again. And I can't see when that's likely to happen. And at the moment, it's like we're struggling to even get in the top 4, let alone win the league. So, that's the hardest thing. I mean, we've probably done just as well in the cup since we've been at the Emirates than we maybe did before. Really, we've won a few FA Cups and we've done okay. We've reached a couple of League Cup finals and stuff like that, and we've got to a couple of European finals. So it's just, it is the league. That's the thing that I personally want. If I could pick one trophy for us to win in the next 5 years, it'd definitely be the Premier League, above everything, even above the Champions League. To win the Premier League, and that would be.
Do you think if you stayed at Highbury, you would have won more leagues? Is it because of the money what you spent on that stadium?
Yeah, I would say so. Bearing in mind where we were at the time we moved, we'd been invincible the season before. We got to the Champions League final that season. So yeah, you'd imagine that team could have gone on and had a bit more success. Yeah, they would have had to have rebuilt it, but we wouldn't have had to get rid of all our best players as we did over the next 5 or 6 years to pay for the stadium. So we probably would have had more success if we stayed at Highbury. It just wasn't possible to rebuild it because of listed buildings. It was in all the streets around it. We just, Upton Park was a similar situation, I suppose, where the ground was located. You couldn't really expand it anymore. And we had a similar situation. And unfortunately, we couldn't survive on a 38,000 capacity stadium if we wanted to compete at the top level. Unfortunately, we got a bigger stadium and we still haven't managed to compete at the top level. But equally,
do you think, obviously, like you said, the amount of profit what Arsenal make, obviously, football club is not a football club no more. It's a business.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to get taken over anytime soon, or do you reckon you're stuck with them?
I don't know. I mean, they've had a few issues with their American football club that they own. They've got fines coming in and stuff like that. And whether or not, financially they might think it's a good idea to sell Arsenal, I don't know. We can only hope. It doesn't appear so. They've come out and said that they're not going to sell, and we may be stuck with them. I mean, is that necessarily just the answer? I don't know. You look at Newcastle with their takeover and you think, what happened at Man City, something like that coming into a club like Arsenal, it'd be well. Do you know what I mean? There's no end to where we could go. We've got a stadium already there now, and if we had that money that we could just throw at it like Man City have done, and like Newcastle are probably going to start doing, who knows? But
I still think they're going to get relegated, personally.
Well, they might do this season, yeah. But I mean, I suppose it's going to be a long-term project for them, and I'm sure they'll come back, and eventually they will probably end up being like Man City in 10 years' time. But it'd be nice if Arsenal could get into that, because obviously we're starting at a further base than what Newcastle are. We're much in a better position, aren't we? So we'd be ideal for someone like that to buy Arsenal, but to buy a club, the owner's got to want to sell it. It took Newcastle long enough to get that through, didn't it? So we could be in a similar position to that. I mean, Shane says there, new owners who spend billions since we left Highbury didn't help. I mean, to be honest, yeah, that's true. Other clubs have got rich owners since we moved, and that's obviously made our job harder. But I mean, our owners have spent money. We spent the most money last summer in the transfer window. It hasn't really transformed the team. Well, I didn't think we bought the right players for the money we spent. But anyway.
So what players do you like? If I've sort of named 3 or 4, is there anyone in particular you think could make that difference? Like realistic targets who would make that difference for you to push on?
I mean, for me, from what I've seen this season in the Premier League, I personally always look at players that play in the Premier League, because to me, they haven't got to settle in. They're already in the league. They know what it's about. So if I could sign 3 players in January, not that we'd sign them, the 3 players I would sign that I think would transform our team, that I think would reasonably be realistic that we could get, would be Ivan Toney at Brentford as a centre forward. I would like Yves Bissouma in midfield. And I would go for Emmanuel Dennis at Watford for a goal-scoring sort of winger. And I think those 3 players in this Arsenal team, with the other players we've got around us, that would transform our team, actually. And realistically, you could say, if we can't buy players, I mean, we've already bought someone from Brighton. If we can't buy players from Brighton, Watford and Brentford, then what hope have we got?
See, that's what I said. Like, there's not guaranteed figures, but I think 35 million would get you Ivan Toney. And if I was West Ham as well, I'd pay that.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, Yves Bissouma's probably maybe 25, 30 million. Emmanuel Dennis, I don't know how much Watford paid for him. He didn't cost them that much. We'd probably get him for 15, 20 million maybe. And if we can offload Aubameyang, maybe offload Nicolas Pepe, who's not working out, that would maybe help us to be able to get those players in. I don't think we wouldn't buy all 3 of them in January, but certainly for next summer, that's the sort of player. I mean, no doubt we'll end up buying players from abroad that no one's ever heard of, like we did with Tomiyasu and people like that, And I don't know. I'd like to stick to the Premier League players that are here already, and they can
like what we've done. Zuma, we were very unlucky. We were very unlucky with Zuma, but the good thing is Zuma's like 6 to 8 weeks, they reckon. So we'll be back by mid-February, so we'll still have that push. And I still think, I know he's out, but he won't be at the end of the season. But before his injury, I think he was a signing of the season. Above it, that was a steal. £27 million from Chelsea is a steal.
No. I mean, there are bargains to be had in the Premier League from other clubs, and I just think Arsenal, historically, certainly recent years, haven't really done that enough. Ben White we got from Brighton, but we paid over the.
See, I still think Martial would suit you. I really do.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I would say so. I think Ivan Toney more for me, because I think he's got that physical aspect that we're lacking. He can hold the ball up. He's a different option. Martial is very similar to kind of in style to the strikers that we've had in recent years. Yeah. And it would be very similar, whereas we need someone a bit different, I think, who can come in and offer us something different, And that's why I would go for Ivan Toney, given the choice out of the 2. I think Martial could do a job. I think he'll score goals, as you said before. I think if he's playing regularly as a centre forward in a team that's creating chances, I think he'll score because he can finish. He's not the sort of player that I think is what Arsenal need at this moment.
No, of course.
An Ivan Toney player, I think, would suit us better for what we need. But at the end of the day, it's down to Edu and Arteta to decide, not us as fans. We don't get to choose the players, unfortunately. I'd like to think that we could. I mean, Shane's put a couple in there. Calvin Phillips from Leeds. Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. I can't see him leaving Leeds. Conor Gallagher. But Conor Gallagher's obviously, he's only on loan from Chelsea, isn't he? So Chelsea aren't going to sell Conor Gallagher to us, are they, anytime soon, I wouldn't imagine.
No.
And Mark says there, we could have got Odsonne Edouard from Celtic for 15 million. Yeah, he's done well at Crystal Palace, hasn't he?
Same here. We could have got him as well.
Yeah, so that was one that slipped through the net maybe, and I don't think we can allow a player like Ivan Toney to get snapped up by a Manchester City or Liverpool or somebody like that, because that's what he'll end up going. I think in the next couple of years he'll end up going somewhere like that. So we need to snap him up while we can, I believe. Something that we like to do on this channel is, similar to yourself, historic stuff like that. Yeah. So what I want to do is maybe look at some games from the archive. Arsenal against West Ham. There's been some great games over the years. I'm sure you'll have a few memories as well. obviously the picture there, 1980 FA Cup final, of course, probably the most famous Arsenal West Ham game in history, I would imagine. One of the biggest shocks in FA Cup final history as well. Arsenal just were knackered at the day and couldn't win. I mean, do you remember much about that game?
I wasn't born, so I was only born in '91. So I was born in '91, but I've watched the reruns of it. I've seen the history. Obviously, Trevor Brooking, obviously being what a header. No, but no, it was like you said. I think that was the only, or there may have been one with the only English side in to all be English to start in 11 or some stupid stat like that. But with regards to head to Arsenal, I sort of mentioned them earlier. Obviously, we've had a few cup encounters. I just love the like when Arsenal were leaps and bounds ahead of you, like they're the games what you want to go in and win or get a decent result and cause an upset. I remember Martin Allen, like what you mentioned, the 1-0 win. That one springs to mind. An ex-Arsenal player as well, Liam Brady, getting the winner against Hughes as well. So like we've had some good results. Obviously, the one what done me was the actual year we got relegated in 2002 on the opening day. We're 2-0 up.
Yeah,
we missed a penalty to go 3-0 up, and then Omri masterclass ripped us apart. But to be honest, you've gave us some thumpings over the years, like bad. And like that, they sort of go straight over the back of the head. But obviously, like you said, you mentioned the Pardew Wenger argument when Harewood scored the winner. Yeah. That was in our Great Escape year. Obviously, the 3-2 when that was Sol Campbell, I think, last game for Arsenal when he fell on his arse when we won 3-2, and obviously beating you at the Emirates, the first team to do that. We'll make a habit of that. We're the first team to win at Tottenham's new ground as well. So hopefully make a habit of that as well. But no, like I said, playing Arsenal is like you said, the history. Look, 50 games, 10 draws, and only 8 wins we've had. When you look at it like that, the odds are against us, and you wouldn't believe it, but you're not our worst team when we play. Our worst record's against Everton. I think we've only won six games. I think something like that.
You did beat them away from home this season, so there you go.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, but no, like you said, the odds are stacked against us. Arsenal are a great side. I know the fan base is a bit like us, very, but it's passion. Do you know what I mean? It's for what. That's the one thing what you will say. But do you think it is because of the ground? It's not the same as because I've got to admit, a couple of times at the Emirates, it does seem very, very quiet. Is that because when the team's not playing well, or has it always sort of been like that?
I think with the Emirates, obviously there's a lot more seats in the Emirates than there was at Highbury that they've got to fill. And unfortunately, it seems to have been filled with quite a lot of what I call football tourists that are there for the experience of going to the Emirates and watching Premier League football, as opposed to being passionate Arsenal fans who are going to scream and shout and sing for 90 minutes. And I think we've suffered a little bit of that. Being in London as well, you do get a lot of kind of people that visit London, want to see football, we go to the Emirates because it's a big stadium, stuff like that. And I think that we've maybe suffered a little bit from that over the years, which hasn't helped the atmosphere. Obviously, the results don't help either, do they? You know, when we're not challenging for league titles like we were, and we're not doing that kind of stuff. And I think...
Do you have like corners? Like they're sort of doing that at West Ham. Obviously, we've got like the safe standing sort of bit now as well, where a lot of people stand up, and we do have certain... Is that the same as the Emirates? Do you have like certain corners where... I'm guessing next to the away fans, it normally is a bit vocal, but like you said, getting it all the way around the stadium is a lot more difficult.
I think it's harder in a big stadium. You know, obviously at Highbury and Upton Park, it was sort of smaller grounds. You were really close in, and the atmosphere tended to generate itself a lot easier. Whereas in the bigger stadiums, it doesn't so much. I mean, we've got certain sections that are a little bit louder than others, but we don't have the safe standing at the Emirates at the moment. So maybe that's something that will help improve the atmosphere going forward if they bring that in again, because it's a few grounds got it now, haven't they? Tottenham have got it, Man United have got it, Man City have got it, you guys have got it. There's a lot of clubs doing it now, and I'm sure Arsenal will eventually do that as well. And that might help, mightn't it, if you get a safe standing section behind the goal.
But you will say that I've done a stadium tour actually at the London Stadium about 6 weeks ago. And obviously they take you around, and we went to the director's box, and obviously for the Olympics as well. So the way the roof's done, it keeps the sound in. So there was probably about 20 of us, and they made us shout, "Come on, you!" But literally, it was so. Even just 20 of us, it was so loud. It's to do with the roof. Like the roof embedded in, and it keeps us out. Literally, we shouted like, "Come on, you Irons!" And literally, it was only like 20 of us, but it was so loud. It's mad.
Wow. I mean, maybe that's a good design, then, isn't it? Perhaps, maybe that's why the atmosphere always seems to be really good whenever I see West Ham on the telly.
And the booing seems very loud as well, probably because of it as well.
It probably will, but luckily you're doing well enough not to get too many boos probably at the moment, I suppose. But
yeah,
but no, the atmosphere isn't what it used to. I mean, the last time I went to the Emirates, there was people sitting in my row that literally spent the whole game on their phone or going out to get food and drinks and not really watching the game at all. And it's like, I just think there's too many people like that watch Arsenal now at the Emirates, unfortunately. And you're never going to get that same atmosphere at Highbury. That we're never going to recreate that, I don't think, no matter what happens now at the Emirates, really. It's just, I think them days are gone. And it's a new experience now going to football anyway, I think, to what it used to be. And, it's a little bit more sanitized maybe in terms of the atmosphere. And that's just the way it is. But some grounds are still great. Liverpool's still got a good atmosphere. I think West Ham are
Goodison Park's always a good game to go.
Yeah, Goodison Park can be good. Yeah, see, it's an old style stadium, isn't it? Close to the pitch and stuff like that. You see.
But Burnley, I don't like. But when I was there yesterday, that's horrible. I don't like.
I quite like going to Burnley. Actually, it's quite a nice little away trip, and the away end's a little bit. A little bit old-fashioned, shall we say. It needs a bit of work, the away stand. But I think it's quite a nice little away trip. You're going in a cricket club, and that's quite nice, isn't it, before the game?
Yeah, no, that's where we parked yesterday. We parked there in a cricket club.
Yeah, it's normally all right. It's come a little bit. There's a bit of trouble when we played them, actually, this season at the end of the game. They were throwing stuff at us. The Burnley fans, for some reason, they were throwing bottles and stuff at the Arsenal fans, which was nice. So
I was right at the other end, so I was nowhere near them yesterday.
Yeah, I was at the other corner, yeah. But it's quite a nice little away trip, I suppose. We've got a decent record there, actually, so I don't mind going there because you're generally going to see Arsenal win 9 times out of 10, which is nice. But no, I mean, I think the atmospheres have changed at grounds, and I think some of the new stadiums, you're just not going to recreate that, I don't think. And Arsenal certainly haven't. I don't know what it's like at Tottenham. I don't know whether the atmosphere, obviously, every time I've ever been to White Hart Lane, it's generally been when they've played Arsenal. So there's always an atmosphere there anyway because it's the North London derby. I don't know what it's like generally in a normal game at Tottenham now, whether the atmosphere has suffered for them.
See, I still think it's the squad. What's going to do it? I think they will crumble like what they usually do. They'll do another Spursy. I really can't. I'm not just saying that with my West Ham hat on. I really can't see them doing well. They've proved it they've had Mourinho. Now they've got Conte falls out with people as well. So me personally, I think that the fact that they're potentially getting kicked out of I want them to stay in that Conference League though, so they have to play more games. But we'll have to see.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't even seem to want to be in it themselves, do they? Some of the results that they've had. But anyway, maybe they're trying to get knocked out, but it's not quite worked for them so far. But anyway,
yeah, no, definitely.
I certainly don't want Arsenal to be in that competition next season, but I suppose we might not have a choice because we might well finish in that position in the league. Rajendra then says there, who had the first claret and blue kit first? Was it West Ham or Burnley? That's a good question. I'm not sure actually. Who played in claret? Oh, Aston Villa actually. Probably Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. I think. Yeah.
Mind you, Burnley, they were one of the traditional original Football League clubs, weren't they? Burnley. So perhaps West Ham were formed a little bit later, weren't they? So maybe
1895 West. Hang on, let's have a look. Burnley FC. When were they founded? Let's have a look.
Have West Ham always played in claret and blue then, right from the start?
I think so. That's proved me right. Well, that's put me right on the spot. That has. Hang on 1 second. Burnley.
It's a good question, that actually.
1892. Yeah, definitely.
1892, Burnley were.
1882. Sorry, 149 years.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I know they're one of the original Football League members, weren't they, Burnley? So are Aston Villa, actually. So it's probably those two. And then, obviously West Ham just jumped on the claret and blue bandwagon, didn't they? And thought, oh well.
Yeah, I think from my understanding that they were sort of saying it on the tour. It was to do with a game or something, and because we've won the game, we had to be claret or something. So yeah.
Oh, really?
So 1895 we were founded as Thames Ironworks, and then 1900 was when West Ham United was created.
Right. And they've always worn claret and blue now, have they, right from the start?
I think so, yeah, from the top of my head, yeah.
Well, there you go. So it looks like maybe Aston Villa and Burnley perhaps were the first original claret and blues. And then West Ham now as well. So that's a
Scunthorpe.
I suppose Scunthorpe as well. Yeah, I think they're probably more of maybe a more recent club actually. But anyway, aren't they called the Irons as well? Actually, Scunthorpe are. Is it an Irons thing? Claret and blue, maybe. I don't know.
Must be. It must be. Let's have a look.
And then Dako in the chat there says he's jealous of West Ham because Mia Khalifa is their fan. Well, there you go.
No comment. We've got a few famous West Ham.
No, there are actually. There is quite a few. Yeah, actually, yeah. Isn't Katy Perry? Is she a West Ham fan?
Oh well, she was when she was with
Russell.
What's his name? Yeah, Russell Brown. Apparently, the Queen's a West Ham fan.
Is she?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've never seen her at a game. Like, have you?
Yeah. She opened a stand at the old stadium though.
Did she?
Yeah. Up the Upton Park, the new main stand. What we had done. Obviously, you got Ray Winston. Yeah, we've got a few. Obama apparently a West Ham fan. Lennox Lewis.
He's a West Ham as well, isn't he?
Oh, of course he is. You know he's a West Ham fan. He's a nutter. He's a nutter as well. James Corden.
Yeah,
we've got a few. We have got Russell Brand, obviously. Yeah, no, we've got a few. A lot of the EastEnders cast as well, West Ham fans as well.
Yeah, they will be. Yeah.
Proper EastEnders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the proper EastEnders are West Ham fans, aren't they?
Yeah.
I managed to escape somehow because I'm from that way. But anyway,
yeah,
I had a lucky escape.
So are you the only odd one out then? You said your sister.
Yeah, my sister's West Ham, and I was pretty much the odd one out really. Although, like my mum's side of me family came from North London, so that's where that comes from. But yeah, but obviously growing up where I grew up, obviously big West Ham area, so it is
a proper West Ham. It is a proper.
Yeah, I mean that 1980 FA Cup final on a Monday back at school, I got quite a lot of grief from like pretty much the whole school that were all West Ham, and it was only me and this other lad who were Arsenal fans, so we got all the grief for about a week after that.
We've got a few different like you've got the Hornchurch like Hammers. So there's like 3 or 4 coaches who go to like the ground. Like there's a few of us around. Like Rob, there's a few. I know a few Tottenham fans, but like you said, it's sort of embedded in the family blood. Do you know what I mean? But I've got a couple of us. Like my uncle's a West Ham fan, and my cousin's a West Ham Arsenal fan as well. But all the rest of West Ham, they're the odd 2 out.
Yeah, you always get a black sheep, don't you? I suppose.
He was brought into the family, so that's the difference.
Oh well, there you go. You see, but no, I mean that's the way it is, isn't it? I guess it's all sort of passed down through generations, isn't it? Really, and where you're from, I guess as well, isn't it? I'll say I grew up around that way, so everyone was West Ham, or Liverpool. They had a few Liverpool fans, just the glory hunters, in the 70s. Like Liverpool because they won the European Cup and stuff like that, so we let them off. But everyone else was West Ham, so that's cool. Just before we finish, then obviously we need to have a score prediction. Now you're sort of saying 3-2 one way or the other. Then who are you going 3-2 to? Do you think you'll come out on top, get a rare win at the Emirates?
Yeah, I've got to. I can't come on here and say we're going to lose. I'm gonna say 3-2, and I reckon we'll come back and win as well.
So you think we'll be winning at some point?
Yeah, I reckon you'll go 2-1 up, and we'll come back and win 3-2. I reckon it will be a goal fest. Well, I reckon it'll be my mate Declan Rice. Look, he's there like that. That's what he'll be doing when he gets the 3rd goal.
Well, he was the last West Ham player to score a winner against Arsenal as well in 2019. When it was at the away game.
First ever goal for the club.
First ever goal, that's right. Yeah, he was the last West Ham player to score a winner, so who knows? Maybe he can repeat it. Let's hope not, from our point of view.
But I couldn't come in here and say we're gonna. Well, like I said, in my head, I do actually think we are, but my heart's saying a 3-2 win.
Well, of course, as indeed it should do. I mean, I think it's going to be a tight game. Actually, I don't think there's a lot in it. There hasn't been a lot between us in points in the table. You've got good results against the better teams, whereas we've struggled in them games and we've beaten all the other teams. So I think it's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. If I'm totally honest, I think a draw would not be a surprise at all. But obviously, I hope
probably be a good result for both of us, really, when you think about it. Like when you play like the teams around you, I know you're dropping points, but you're not losing, are you? So
yeah, you're not losing ground on a team close by you in the table, which I think is probably, from our point of view, probably important. That obviously you're already 2 points above us, so if we lose, that's a big gap to kind of pull back, isn't it? Whereas if we can win, then that puts us in a. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. Obviously, I hope Arsenal can win. Rajendra says they're 3-1 to Arsenal. That would be a good result. I'm not sure if we're quite able to beat West Ham 3-1. I don't think we're good enough for that. Maybe I think a 1-goal victory. I don't think it's going to be the goal fest that you're predicting.
You're sort of right. I'm not saying what betting app I'm using, just in case you get. I never say that, but we're both 23 to 20.
Yeah.
So they reckon, and the draw's 12 to 5, which is obviously good odds. But let's just say my thingy. So if I just do correct score, 3-2 West Ham is 25 to 1.
Is it? Wow, that's good odds on that, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and 3-2 Arsenal is 20 to 1.
Is it? Well, yeah. See, I wouldn't. I'm not anticipating there'll be that many goals, if I'm honest, just because Arsenal can't score that many usually. And I know, like you said, West Ham haven't been banging in a lot of goals lately, generally. So,
but we've scored 3 past Chelsea and 3 past Liverpool.
Well, yeah, you did, but that was both at home, so maybe you know.
Yeah. But obviously this is decent odds for you as well. Obviously, Odegaard to score first and Arsenal to win 2-1 is 40 to 1. Antonio and Lacazette both to score 11 to 1. So they're sort of pushing for for goals. So I'm going to say 3-2. What's your prediction?
I'm going to say 2-1 to Arsenal, a bit like last season. I think it's going to be a tight game. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, no,
but I want to predict an Arsenal win, obviously. So, but yeah, I think hopefully it will be a good game to watch.
We'll definitely have to do it. I'll come on and do it on yours, and you come and do it on my channel. We'll definitely do a post match either way. Like I don't care. Like when you have to sit there and do an analysis on it, so we'll definitely do that.
No, that sounds good. Adako, they've got a deal for you. He says, "Do you want to exchange Xhaka plus money with Declan Rice?" I'll let you think about that.
If you chuck in a couple of pies or a couple of bottles of beer, I think that might come around.
Yeah, that might not be a bad deal actually, but I can't see that happening. But I wouldn't mind Declan Rice at Arsenal. I didn't say him as one of the kind of players I was looking at because I don't think realistically we'd be able to get Declan Rice. I do think the players I mentioned we've got more chance of getting that sort. But I'd love Declan Rice in our midfield. That would be amazing because he's been one of the players of the season for me.
I think for a young age, like the age of 22, obviously he's been captain for us for nearly 2 years. It's just his leadership qualities as well. For a young man, it's really good to see.
No, exactly. It is, and he's obviously good player, big player for England as well over the next sort of year for the World Cup. So good stuff.
Actually, let's just see before we go because I don't know if they've put it on there. Be interesting to see who the referee is if they've put it up yet.
I think it's Anthony Taylor. I'm sure I read it somewhere today.
Let's have a look. I think you are right actually. Anthony Taylor. Yeah, and VAR Chris Kavanagh.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, there you go. So it's going to be no penalties, then I don't think to either team.
I didn't realise that. So there's games on Thursday as well. Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, Everton, and Leicester, Tottenham. Christ.
Yeah.
If they play.
They just want to get them all on the telly, don't they? That's the problem. And as Rajendra says there as well, he says it's got a double header, men and women both playing at the same time on Wednesday. Yeah, because our women are in the Champions League on Wednesday at 8 o'clock as well.
Oh wow! Where do the women play their home games then?
Mostly at Boreham Wood.
Okay.
We played at the Emirates last week in the Champions League against Barcelona, but most of them at Boreham Wood. So, but we're actually away on Wednesday in Germany, so we won't be.
We play a couple, and the same with under 23s. Obviously, we've got 3 blooming training grounds. So, but the women now play at Dagenham Redbridge and the London Stadium when they can as well, and the same as the under 23. So.
Yeah, I know they play at Dagenham Redbridge. Yeah, we've got West Ham women last game of the season actually at Dagenham, so that we could win the league at West Ham away. That'd be good. We'll have to wait and see.
But they're a bit up in the air. Obviously, we got close to the FA Cup for when we won in the women are a bit up and they're slowly pumping. Like you said, it's slowly getting there. But obviously, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, they're just leaps and bounds above everyone. It's just a battle of everyone else, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I mean, I think more and more money's going into women's football now, and I think everyone's improving, and whoever gets the most money pumped in is going to have the better team, aren't they? And that's how it's going to be like the men's game, really, I suppose. That's how it'll work. Now Sky are involved as well. Shane in the chat there says, thanks, lads, great stream, and he's a top guy. Best of luck in the season. Yeah, you are a great guy. Great.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Like you said, I've really enjoyed this as well. We can even do it like in a few weeks. We'll do an assessment and see how we're both doing and what we'll do. And we'll do obviously one at the end of the season as well. We'll compare the results.
No, that sounds good. Why not? Sounds a good idea to me. Just before we finish it, Andy, just give your channel another plug. Then where can people find it on YouTube and on social media and stuff?
Yeah, I should have changed my name. So yeah, it's at West Ham Reunited. My channel partner Jazz is away at the minute, so otherwise he would have come on as well. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook. We're on Facebook as well, and YouTube. Just West Ham Reunited. I think we're about 750 subscribers now. Like you said, we've only been going like 3 months. We've had famous we've had Chris Akabusi on. We've had Neil Razor Ruddock do an announcement for us. He's coming, so we're getting some characters coming on as well. So yeah, no, exciting channel. Like you said, it is mainly West Ham, but if you're into your history and stuff like that, yeah, come and give it a follow.
Yeah, definitely get involved. It's a good channel. I've seen quite a lot of stuff on there. It is good stuff, so definitely get involved in that as well. And yeah, it'd be great to meet up again later on, definitely, and do some stuff together. It'd be good.
Yeah, sounds good, Richard. Sounds good.
Yeah, excellent. No, well, say thanks for coming on. Enjoy the game on Wednesday. Obviously not too much, clearly, but hope it's a good game. And
yeah, no, like you said, there's nothing worse than a boring game, and if it's decided on like you said, you don't want no VAR or anything deciding the game. Hopefully, it's a good game of football, and may the best team win.
May the best team win, as long as it's Arsenal. That's what we like to say. Yeah.
I'll do that before you go.
No, of course. Well, you're allowed to do that. That's fine. I mean, obviously, good luck for the rest of the season as well. It's good that London teams are doing well. As long as it's not Chelsea.
There's so many though. That's what we said. It's London derbies. Like there's 14 London derbies. I don't class Watford as a London team, but there's like 14.
No. They're on the London Underground, sort of, I suppose. But yeah, I don't really count as a London team either. But anyway, they train next door to us actually.
Don't they?
He says they're good luck in the Europa League. Yeah, if any team's going to win the Europa League, a British team, let's have West Ham winning it. Why not?
Yeah.
Actually, they're the only one left because Leicester got knocked out, didn't they? Actually, so.
Well, Rangers have got Dortmund.
Yeah, so they're out as well, then, aren't they?
yeah, definitely.
So brilliant. Yeah, so say thanks for coming on. It's been an absolute.
I appreciate it, mate.
Look forward to the game on Wednesday. Hopefully, hopefully it's a good game. And we both will be smiling at the end of the season. Hopefully, we've reached that target.
Yeah, no, like you said, I'll come on yours if you want me to come on. Like, obviously, you can come on mine. We'll do like a post match, see what was won and lost. Obviously, do the talking points. I'm definitely happy to do that as well.
No, that'd be good. Yeah, we'll sort it out. No worries at all. Sounds good. Excellent.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for everyone in the chat as well. It means a lot.
Yeah, thanks for everyone watching as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Don't forget to subscribe to West Ham Reunited as well. Great channel that is. We're growing together. We've got a similar amount of subscribers actually, so we're kind of growing together, which is nice. Hopefully we can reach our targets together. It'd be good. So thanks to Andy for coming on. Thanks for you guys for watching. Don't forget like and subscribe. Tomorrow we've got the Tuesday clinic looking back on the Southampton game, looking ahead to West Ham again, looking ahead to Leeds as well at the weekend with the usual panel. That's 8 o'clock tomorrow, the Tuesday clinic. So stay tuned for that. And then of course we'll be doing coverage of the games on Wednesday, the men and the women both playing simultaneously, which is going to be fun. Be switching between the two when there's a goal and when there's some great stuff going on. So that's going to be fun. So loads coming up. So thanks to Andy, West Ham Reunited. See you guys tomorrow at 8. And in the meantime, as always, come on, you Gunners. See you soon, guys. Take it easy.
See you later.
Somebody got up and